Welkom bij Plastic Afvaloplossing. Mijn naam is Jerry Boshart en wij zijn onderdeel van Grootste International, het grootste plastic recycling bedrijf van de wereld. Wij gaan het vandaag hebben over waarom het voor jou interessant is om een plastic neutral removal service package aan te kopen in het werk van Emplivo. En wat het jou kan opleveren. En wat het uiteindelijk doet. Als jij dus een plastic neutral removal service package aankoopt in het Emplivo netwerk, help jij dus daadwerkelijk mee om plastic, je voetafdruk, je blauwafdruk in je omgeving te verlagen. Wij gebruiken jaarlijks heel veel plastic. In het mensenleven gebruiken we ongeveer 5000 kilo aan plastic. Dat is behoorlijk. Dus door zo'n pakket aan te kopen kun je dus direct helpen om je eigen plastic rotzooi op te ruimen. En vanuit Grootste International, vanuit het Emplivo netwerk, krijg je dus de CSR's. Een CSR is een crypto exchange, is een cryptovaluta die je dus krijgt van Grootste, die dus in waarde gaat stijgen. En wat echt waar super interessant is. Wij mogen geen uitspraken doen wat betreffende over predictions. Dat mogen wij dus niet doen. We hebben geen licentie om daar uitspraken over te mogen doen. Maar er is wel iemand die dat wel kan doen. Dat is onze directeur, Veel, die dus wel predictions laat zien. En die dat dus wel daadwerkelijk mag. En ik ga jullie wel laten zien waarom dit nu op dit moment echt de grootste opportunity is die je nu mogelijk op het moment tegen kan komen. En vandaag ga je ook zien waarom het voor jou ook interessant is om hierbij in te stappen. Om de wereld eveneens te helpen, maar ook echt jouw portemonnee hiermee te gaan spekken. Want deze kans, die blijft niet. Maar voor de mensen die dus wel deelnemen, zijn er blijvende kansen tot wel misschien over 40, 50 jaar verder. Dus blijf kijken en Jussi Veel gaat jullie laten zien waarom het interessant is om in te stappen bij Grootste International in het Emplivo netwerk. Om een neutrale package aan te kopen, dus de plastic removal service. En wat er voor jou aan succes te behalen valt. Natuurlijk om de wereld te helpen, maar natuurlijk zijn er vele financiële voordelen bij te behalen.
We can easily say that CSR is at the moment heavily underpriced on the market. If we look at the general plastic credit market, keeping in mind that CSR is not the only plastic credit in the world. We are by any means the leading plastic credit globally, but we are not the only one. We're also not the first plastic credit out there. There are others, which is absolutely fantastic news for us. And I'll explain you why. If you do your research, you go to Google and you start looking at plastic credits and you start looking at what kind of rates, what kind of market value is currently generally given for plastic credits, you will find out that companies are willing to pay at this very moment in average between $1 to $2 per kilo to remove plastic waste from the environment. This is done with other plastic credits already. CSR today is traded for only 14 cents, $0.14 per kilo, which makes it extremely attractive for any company that wants to remove their plastic waste footprint today. But keep in mind that there is also a very limited amount of CSR, first of all, out there in distribution, and most of all, in the exchanges. Very limited amount. This means that CSR's market price today is really an amazing opportunity for anybody who wants to remove their plastic waste footprint. If you have the chance to pay 14 cents per kilo instead of $2 a kilo, it makes a lot of sense to buy CSR. So this also means that the value of CSR where we are today is not going to stay like this for long. And in the last couple of days, we've also seen what happened on the market, actually since last week. And we saw the effect on our credibility and our popularity and how the world now suddenly started paying attention to CSR plastic credit and to Corsair after the major announcement of our collaboration now with the oil and gas petrochemical giant Shell. And you've seen over the last 7 days, the market value of CSR has grown by more than 116% on the public exchange. So I'm just saying, guys, it's not going to stay in these kind of figures long. So with more demand coming from companies from all over the world, the market value of CSR will begin to move first towards the general market value of plastic credits. This means that the CSR value on the open markets is projected to move from the existing about 1 cent to about 10 to 20 cents per CSR. This is about 10 to 20 times its value today. And once we reach this situation, we are actually just on the market where all the other plastic credits are, or most of them are. So this will be our first milestone, to go from the existing about 1.4 cents to about 10 to 20 cents per token. And this is very logical why this is going to happen. Anybody can see what's happening right now and why this will be happening in quite a short period of time. Keep in mind that we are obviously not the only plastic credit that will be receiving a lot of demand. The entire plastic credit industry will be receiving massive new demand this year and next year and into the future, where companies are by law obligated to use plastic credit programs. Try to get that into your mind, where this is actually going. And I guarantee you, you have never, ever come across with anything like this in your life. So, as we are looking at the future of the plastic credit market in general, we can already make the projection that as demand gets larger, but supply is still small, the overall plastic credit market is projected to grow to somewhere between $3 to $5 per kilo, which companies will be now having to pay because they will need to take that action to clean the environment from their plastic pollution. This would mean that the CSR would, in this projection, grow to somewhere between 30 to 50 cents per token, which is about 30 to 50x from today's value. And this is just now talking about what the market is doing in general. Now, additionally to that, Corsair, as was announced last week, will now also begin to buy CSR plastic credits as a part of its buyback program. And now we are entering into a very interesting element, because this creates for CSR plastic credit a secondary value. Yes, CSR will always be a plastic credit, but due to the fact that we are actually connecting the CSR into the revenue that Corsair generates from selling oil, for example, to Shell, now the CSR becomes a completely different thing. Let me explain you what it means. It means that from every liter of advanced bio oil that Corsair sells for Shell and for its other future partners, currently approximately 10% will be allocated into the purchase of CSR plastic credits from the public exchanges. This means that whatever limited amount of CSR is out there, Corsair will, from every single selling of 1 liter of oil, it will buy CSR from the exchanges. Obviously, we are all very much aware of the announcement that we did last week about our collaboration now with Shell, which was a groundbreaking development and obviously news as well, featured by more than 550 different media outlets around the world. So now when we include into the CSR, of course, the demand that the companies have to remove their plastic waste footprint, but also now the buyback program coming from the sales of the oil. What could this mean for the value of the CSR plastic credit? Where are we heading with this one? Well, first of all, we at Corsair have a target to produce 1 billion liters of oil from plastic waste annually, meaning each year, starting from 2030 onwards. We have recognized that the market value for this oil is approximately $1 a liter, which basically means that from every liter, approximately 10 cents as a revenue will go into the purchase of the CSR from the public exchanges. So as our target is to produce 1 billion liters in 2030, but if you think that it sounds too much, it sounds like a too big of a target, let's then say that we only reach 10% of that target. And we are only able to produce 100 million liters a year in the next couple of years. Keeping in mind that our Bangkok facilities, 2 of them, with full capacity will be producing around 80 million liters a year. Our Finland facility with full capacity will be generating about 45 million liters a year. Our Italian facility will be producing about 9 million liters a year, and the Netherlands facility another 9 million. This already is about 81 million liters a year. And these are only the projects that we've announced publicly so far. So we could say that in the next, well, by 2030, it's very realistic to say that we will be producing 100 million liters a year, while we obviously aim for the billion. Now, what does that mean? That means that approximately $10 million per year will be channeled from the oil sales to the buyback of CSR from the open markets. Keeping in mind that after the end of this year, there will no longer be new CSR distributed into the exchange. We already know the number. It's already limited. So what do you think is going to happen for a public market where every month $1 million will be spent on the exchange to buy the CSR plastic credit back with whatever the price is? If nobody wants to sell for more than 5 cents, we'll buy for 5 cents. If nobody wants to sell more than 50 cents, less than 50 cents, we'll buy at 50 cents. If nobody wants to sell for less than $1, we'll buy for $1. That's what's going to happen with the buyback program. And again, this is money coming completely out from the network. It has absolutely nothing to do with the network. It has nothing to do with any of the individual holders of CSR. It doesn't matter what you do with your CSR. This money is coming from the oil sales, which is now generated from us supplying our product to one of the largest companies in the world, Shell. So what could potentially happen? Especially when we keep in mind that from January next year onwards, there will be no longer any original CSR issued as a result of the plastic waste removal service. It will be all finished there.
Je snapt nu wel eigenlijk hoe immens groot deze opportunity is. En je bent eigenlijk wel gek om niet deel te nemen aan deze mooie opportunity. Want hier kun je eigenlijk alleen maar succes op succes mee genereren. De wereld beter helpen. Je portemonnee spekken. En wie weet wel ook een pionier zijn. Net zoals ik en vele anderen. Om dit mooie concept verder uit te gaan dragen. Ik wil zo direct met jullie naar deel 2 van wat Jussi te vertellen heeft. Want dat is natuurlijk een aanvulling op hetgeen wat jullie net zoal hebben gezien. Er is namelijk een buyback programma. Succes is hierbij dus gegarandeerd. Dus we gaan nu weer verder kijken naar Jussi. Die uitleg gaat geven over de buyback programma.
Well, first of all, it's important for you to know that Corsair will now begin the buyback of the CSR plastic credit from the open exchanges now as a part of its buyback program. In other words, what it means is that from every liter of oil that we sell, now approximately 10% will go into the open market to buy back CSR plastic credit from the market. So this means that every time when we send another shipment of oil to Shell, about 10% of that money is now going into the purchasing of CSR from the open markets. This is obviously something that will increase over time, but this will continue all the way into the future, tens of years, decades from now. It's not something that will only be for this year or next year. No, it's going to be from every liter. And in the future, if we sell the oil and when we sell the oil to other major petrochemical companies, it will be the same thing. Doesn't matter. Every liter of oil that Corsair produces from any of its facilities, if it's in Thailand, if it's in Finland, if it's in Italy, if it's in the Netherlands, if it's wherever in the world, now you know that money from every single shipment is going straight into the buyback of CSR from the market. Now, when you just think about what impact this will now have for the CSR, first of all, when you think about CSR plastic credit in the field of digital assets, nobody can anymore say that, oh, the CSR price is only depending about the members or the partners or the community. No, it's not. Because at a growing, constantly growing number, more and more money is going to become outside of the entire community, outside of the CSR community, outside of Amplivo, outside of Corsair. That money will come from the actual end users of the product that we produce, the oil that we produce from other people's garbage. And that will eventually remove more and more and more and more CSR from the market. Now, obviously, that is an additional element to the companies, small businesses and large businesses that are buying the CSR as well. But this will now bring in that secondary element that we promised before that we will deliver. And we are now delivering that promise, where the income that Corsair receives from selling of the oil will directly benefit also the CSR on the market. This means that as our target is to produce 1 billion liters of oil annually from 2030 onwards, this means that however you do the numbers, I can't reveal for you the exact contract price that we have, for example, with Shell or some of our other buyers. But if you do your general own research, you will find out that this type of oil that we produce right now has a market price of approximately $1 a liter. That's not a big secret. It's out there. So if you think that our target for 2030 is ambitious, if you don't like the number of 1 billion, you feel it's too much, that's fine. Let's tone it down. Let's imagine that we only reach 10% of our target. And in the next about 6 years, we have now reached a production where we generate approximately 100 million liters of oil per year instead of 1 billion liters. That means that from this production, 10% of our target, about $10 million a year, or roughly $1 million a month, is now going to go into the purchasing of CSR from the open markets, no matter what the price is. If anybody doesn't want to sell their CSR for 10 cents, or 20 cents, 50 cents, or $1, $10, doesn't matter. That money will continue to go to buy the CSR at any rate. If I would ask you to take one thing from this call with you today, this would be that. Just try to figure out what is actually happening at the moment. One of the largest companies in the planet just signed a contract with Corsair, which has been made public today. And the petrochemical market, with Shell and other players in the same industry, they have a massive, massive demand for this oil product right now. This is not the last announcement of this kind, guys. We got a number of other companies already in the pipeline that you're gonna hear soon as well. But Shell was the most significant one, and that's we're so proud and so happy that we're able to announce that for you today. But there will be more. We will continue to deliver on this, and we're gonna do better and bigger than anybody else. And this means that the global demand for our type of oil today is approximately 100 billion liters per year. That's how much Shell and the other petrochemical majors need this type of oil right now. About 100 billion liters. And that is expected to grow over the next 30 years. It will probably become 300 billion. The global supply today is probably around 20-30 million liters a year. That's it. There is such a massive demand for our oil. And as I said before, after working for this now for 2 years, we have been able to develop and make our oil to be some of the best quality advanced bio oil on the market anywhere in the world. So coming back to the CSR, what do you think will happen on the market when additionally to all the companies that are buying the CSR to offset their plastic waste footprint. Additionally to that, Corsair keeps dropping every month money from the oil sales that it sells to some of the largest companies in the world into the market to just keep on buying the CSR at any rate. Any rate. Especially when starting from January next year, there will be no more original CSR issued as a result of the plastic waste removal service. You heard about this already before. This means that the service packages that are sold by the Amplivo partners today will no longer include the original CSR starting from the beginning of next year. Every package this year will include the original CSR. But from the end of this year, that will no longer be the case. We are going to issue the CSR 25, which is the new token that we're going to talk about next. But the original CSR will always have a special function tied into the income coming from the buyback program generated by the oil sales. So this means that from that moment onwards, there will be no more CSR distributed to the market, and there will be less and less and less original CSR circulating every single day. Try to grasp that idea, because it means that there is a limited amount of CSR. And every single day that circulation becomes smaller, 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 and smaller. And money from the oil sales keeps flowing in, and CSR gets bought out no matter what the price is. So my message to anybody who has decided to sell their CSR for a less than a cent on the market, you are probably making the most dumbest, idiotic, stupid thing in your life for selling your CSR at that ridiculous price. But don't worry, we will buy every single last CSR that you want to sell. No problem. Don't worry about it. If you want to sell it for less than a cent, go ahead. But at least you have been told. Don't miss on potentially the largest opportunity in your life when it comes to the CSR plastic credit. Don't be stupid. Now is not the time to be stupid. Now is the time to be smart. And I know that most of you people have understood this, but there are some people that don't understand what they're holding in their hands. Well, we cannot hold everybody's hand. We can try to educate them, but we can't tell the people what to do. If people want to sell their CSR for less than a cent, please do. We'll keep on buying them. Don't worry about it. Okay? So, the reality is this, guys. We are in an industry of plastic waste, advanced chemical recycling, which has no limits to growth right now. If we reach our target of producing 1 billion liters of advanced bio oil per year, we will be satisfying 1% of the global demand. Do you understand that? It's nothing. And in the next coming years, when that demand keeps on growing, with all the regulations coming into place, which now force the plastic manufacturing companies, the petrochemical companies, to use our type of product by law. They have to buy our product. The demand is unreal. There's never been a business opportunity like this where anybody is able to get in at the start. Never.
Hoe geweldig is het dat er nu eindelijk een passende oplossing is voor het grote plastic afvalprobleem. Jij die nu kijkt, kunt dus nu echt een onderdeel gaan worden van dit grote plastic project. Ga mee in dit avontuur en laten we samen de wereld opruimen van alle overtollige plastic afval en word niet mede vervuiler van de aarde. Ook jij kunt nu dus echt een pionier worden van deze miljardenindustrie. Hoe kun je mee gaan bouwen aan dit grote project? En hoe kun je dus een partner worden van Grootste en Veel? Ga naar de persoon toe die jou deze link heeft toeverwezen. Mocht je dus geen link hebben gekregen of doorverwezen zijn naar een persoon, kun je altijd bij mij terecht door mij een bericht toe te sturen. Deze persoon zal jou een referral link toesturen, of ik. Met deze referral link kun jij een account aanmaken via het Amplivo-netwerk. Ook zal de persoon die je heeft doorverwezen naar deze videopresentatie al alle informatie kunnen geven. Hoe jij je account zult moeten inrichten en hoe jij een CSR-pakket kunt aankopen. De persoon die jou sponsort, dus inschrijft, deze kan al jouw vragen beantwoorden en zou je eveneens kunnen helpen om dit project naar een grotere succes toe te leiden. Om een partner van Amplivo-netwerk te worden en hier ook daadwerkelijk commissies over te gaan verdienen, dien je een businesslicentie aan te schaffen. Na het creëren van je Amplivo-account kun je een businesslicentie aanschaffen in je account. Een businesslicentie die kost 10 euro per jaar en moet eveneens ieder jaar opnieuw verlengd worden. Op het moment dat jij hierover vragen hebt of wellicht andere vragen hebt, kun jij naar de persoon gaan die jou naar deze presentatie heeft toeverwezen. Sluit jezelf aan bij onze missie. Help ons jouw planeet op te ruimen van plastic vervuiling. Wij zijn de wereldleiders op het gebied van plastic afvalsector. Wij hebben actieve partners over heel de wereld in wel meer dan 40 verschillende landen. Dit is een exclusieve en zeer krachtige online business voor jou. Of het nou fulltime is, parttime is, of gewoon eventjes naast je job. Dit kan een fantastische uitkomst bieden voor jouw financiële toekomst. Dit was alweer het einde van deze presentatie. In de nare toekomst zullen wij meerdere online presentaties gaan geven, maar ook meerdere videofilmpjes maken om de mensen in dit netwerk beter te gaan helpen en te gaan begeleiden.